Hi, Karen. Lovely to meet you. My name is Selena Rodriguez, and I will be giving you some personal feedback that I have for your lesson plan. Not to say that your lesson plan is lacking. Actually, I find it quite enjoyable. I myself love science, and it has always been one of my favorite subjects in school. I can tell you from personal experience that children often love hands-on activities such as the ones that I'm finding in your lesson plan, especially when the lesson revolves around things that they deal with on a daily basis. I would just like to point out first that your name is missing in the name of teacher candidate right here. So if you could include your name right here, that would be great. Thank you. I would also like to point out, secondly, that you still have the blue writing instruction in your lesson plan, such as this, and it says to delete all blue text and replace it with your own. So if you could also do that. Okay, so for your lesson description, I like how you detail what you and your students will be doing, but I would like to see you saying what the lesson plan will be about. Such as, for our lesson today, we will be exploring and identifying the different parts of plants and their functions. Okay? Then you will explain the steps that you and your students take during this lesson to learn this objective like you have right here. Okay? For your objective, I must say you did an excellent job with the inclusion of your ELLs. You have many different ways that you plan to include your ELLs in the lesson listed here. I especially like how you are going to use the visuals and readings as aids in this lesson for ELLs. What I find most helpful for ELLs that you have listed here is that you plan on using cooperative learning. I find that students tend to understand the lesson better when they have a partner to bounce their ideas off of. It helps them a lot, so that way they have the opinions of someone in their age group that will better understand rather than an adult who may not be able to explain it as well as a student. And for your terms and vocabulary, I love how you have not only the main vocabulary words you're going to be using in this lesson in English, but in Spanish as well. This is going to be really helpful for your ELL students. It's for all your students in general, because in science, of course, you know that we're going to have the main vocabulary terms for the lesson that we're going to be teaching, just in case they may not understand it, or they might need to go back and remember what it was if they've already learned it. Okay, for your technology resources, I notice that you don't have anything listed right here. You did mention that you were going to show a video to the class for this section. You might want to mention how you will be using a computer, internet, and the BrainPop website to access the video you're going to be showing plant growth. You might also want to mention how you will be using like a smart board or iPads or projector for students to view the video from. Also, once again, for your other resources, you don't have anything listed right here either. This is usually where you're going to be putting the other materials, such as the anchor chart and the foldables that you're going to be using as resource materials for the students to learn the different parts of plants and their functions. You don't have anything describing what's going to be going on and what materials they're going to be needing. And right up here, again, the blue material that you need to delete. You might want to change the font color of your writing because it's blue. It might be a little confusing. That's just my opinion. Okay, and for your engage, I see that in your engage section, you are pointing out the objective to your students and having them repeat the objective back to you. I think this is great because you're going to be able to see who is really paying attention and listening. That way you can tell like the students know that, okay, we're going to be learning about the different parts of plants and their functions. You're going to be seeing whether or not they're paying attention. Also, showing the video about plant growth is really great because it ties to your lesson and the video grabs at your students' attention. Wright mentions how many fiction science shows captivate viewers of all ages, so showing a real educational video will definitely capture their attention. Having your students think, pair, share, as you mentioned right here, also another great idea, because your students will be bouncing what they have learned from the video that you've just showed them off of each other, and you're also going to be hearing what students did or did not follow from the video. Okay. For your explore, for this section, I love the collaboration that you're doing with your students with this hands-on activity in this section, that giving your students an actual flower to compare to other plants that they have seen is a great idea. That's tying to the real world. That'll definitely get their attention. This will definitely apply to students who have a naturalistic intelligence from Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. And if they like exploring nature, plants, animals, and such, this will really captivate their attention. Wright also mentions how many hands-on activities make it fairly easy for ELLs to learn science. Giving them the option to write down their observations in a scientific journal will be a useful tool for students to look back on in the future whenever they wish to look back on their notes. Also, having your students discuss the scientific observations with their fellow classmates is a great collaborative learning strategy. By having your students collaborate their learning with one another, their scientific findings and notes that they're finding from their observations, this will maximize participation, focus attention, and engage students in the activity. However, I noticed that a sentence here says, I want you to write down at least 3 observations to, and then that's just like, there's nothing else. You might want to finish this sentence, please, if you can. Okay. All right. And now on to explain. Oh, it kind of cuts off, but okay. So on this part, now for your explain section, I love the collaboration that you're doing as a teacher with all of your students. Building the anchor chart that you have right down here. Okay, I see that you're having the students participate in a discussion to speak their minds aloud while you write down the information, as you have right here, the leaves, the seeds, the flower, stem, roots. You're having them give that information to you, and you're writing and drawing and coloring it down. This is great. This is good because all the students are able to participate and they're able to give you their opinions on what they've been learning, and you're able to write it down neatly and draw it for them, so that way they have a great visual aid to fall back on later on. And now for your elaborate section, I love your plant foldable idea. By first modeling how you want the foldable to be created, the students have a visual and oral guide as to how their foldables will need to be created. Having the students answer your questions to fill in the foldable is another great idea, because of course, once again, you're going to be taking into account just how much your students understand, or whether or not they know where the information that they're giving you needs to be placed on the foldable. I see on the foldable that you have it split into different parts. Right here at the bottom where the roots belong, you have roots, and then you have on the other side what the function of the roots are. That's great. They need to know where they need to place that information on the foldable. I also like how you're going to be using the projector to show this as you're creating the foldable. That's very great. That way all the students can view it and they won't get lost. And now for evaluate, I really like what you did with this exit strategy. This ticket will allow you to show This ticket will allow your students to show you how they understood the information that they were giving during this lesson by filling in the blanks using the words from the bottom and arranging them based off the knowledge they have received from the lesson over different parts of the plants they have created. This ticket will allow you to see who needs to be placed in smaller groups in the near future as well, if there are any students who are still not grasping the information from this lesson. For your special education students, I see that you're just going to give them extra time. Perhaps you might want to write that you will collaborate with a special needs teacher about what you can do to help these students during this lesson. That's what I've do. That's what I've done in the past whenever I volunteered with special needs students in a regular classroom. Okay. And for your English language learners, you're doing a very good job. You're doing a great job of providing them text in their native language and having them having their discussions in their native language, speaking to them in their native language, as you said. But perhaps you might want to suggest pairing struggling ELL students with proficient ELL students. That way the struggling ELL student can scaffold off of the more advanced ELL student and they won't fall behind. This is a great partnership idea if you want to do this in the future as well. For the gifted and talented, I see that this section doesn't have anything written in it. That is just the blue text that the teacher already had included in it. Might I suggest having them build a model of different parts of the plant? A 4D model perhaps, either using clay, paper mache, or even bringing in a plant and having them dissect the different parts, showing the students the different parts and the functions of this plant. Or creating a skit in which they will represent different parts of the plant and they will explain to their classmates which parts of the plant they are and what their part's function is. Okay. And I also notice your potential challenges and Plan B section is also empty. I would like to point out that it's always a good idea to be prepared and have a Plan B ready just in case. You never want to just have one plan. You always have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just in case anything happens, especially whenever you're being monitored. That's a really good idea. Okay. Well, overall, your lesson was really fun and creative, and I know your students are going to love this lesson. I hope you do a great job teaching this lesson, and good luck in the future. Thank you so much, and goodbye.